some important topics for you today regarding women. But I also want to take a second and acknowledge and congratulate Trish for her winning her award. And your crown looks lovely on you, Trish. Thank you. And truly, hey Trish, seriously, thank you for representing us really well in the industry with great content and great material. It's very lovely to see. So honestly and truly, congratulations. As I said before, I've amassed a lovely group of women here today, and we're here to talk about a very important subject matter that's happening in the marketplace, and this deals with the subject of millennials in the marketplace and how that's changing the way that marketeers and brands are actually redeploying their material and information to the audiences. So I have areas, each one of us have an area of expertise that's touching this subject matter. So we have some good examples to talk, and we'll be passing things around. If any questions come up, feel free to give a little bit of a hand. What I'm going to do is, before I introduce these ladies, I want to talk a little bit about being a woman in this industry, because as you heard from the earlier group, it hasn't always been roses. I mean, I'm woman graduate number 2 out of RIT. Okay, when I came into this industry, there were no women. To walk around this show today and see the number of women representing this industry is absolutely amazing to me. I did not think I'd see it from what I saw many in the early 60s or the later 60s. So this is absolutely wonderful. But I want to share with you some information about HP, because I'm very proud about this. Recently, Forbes did an article, they actually did a market research, and they found out that HP was ranked number 3 across millennials looking to join large companies. They see HP as a really amazing place to start their career out, and I'm very proud of that. And I think that's because the company has done a lot of things to really create a diverse organization of people. Right now, 36% of the people who are sitting on our board are women. That's amazing. When you look, once again, in my lifetime, I never thought I'd be able to say that. We are seeing an increase of 4% on average per year of executive level women in our organization. Once again, an amazing thing. When you look at the positions held in our company, 21% of the women in our group are engineers or IT managers. Really wonderful movement in that area. And 55% of the women who are employed by HP hold either legal, finance, or HR marketing roles. Those are very significant roles within an organization. So I think I speak for all of these. I'm going to ask you a question in a second, but it's a very wonderful place to be, cutting our teeth, having our careers, and working in. It's a unique situation to be in. So as I go through the line, what I'm going to do is ask you your name, ask you what your title is, what you're functioning, what are you doing? Because sometimes titles don't really say what it is. And then in a sentence or two, just say, what recommendation would you give to somebody who's coming into this industry for the first time? And what kind of words or pearls of wisdom that you would get. So I'll start. I'm Doris Brown-McNally. I am the Worldwide Brand Innovation Manager at HP. I get the lovely job of working with the top brands around the world to help them understand how to use digital print in really creative ways, and then do executions in the marketplace, things like the Share a Coke campaign. So that was my name, that was my title, that was what I do. And I think the thing I would recommend to the newer people, I wish they were still here in the room, is that if somebody's coming into this industry, choose your organizations that you work with very wisely. Look at them like you would look at almost like a spouse. Choose a good organization, cut your teeth in a good organization, because that becomes your pedigree as you go further down the line. And when I look back at my resume on LinkedIn, sometimes I go, I am blessed to have worked with these companies that are the leaders in the industries over the years. So that's how I would start. So Heidi, introduce yourself and do the same.
Certainly. Heidi Chambers, Business Development Manager. And essentially what my role is I work with our customers, converters, and I work with their sales and marketing teams, going in, doing training with them, and helping them to articulate the value proposition of HP Indigo Print. And I like to call myself a sales snob. I've spent my entire career in sales, and I absolutely love it. And so I think if you're considering a career in sales, packaging is fantastic. It's very creative, it's very exciting, and there is so much that's going on with technology that really is going to take packaging to the next level.
Hi, my name is Laura Field. I am the odd title, Worldwide Commercial Media Lead for HP Indigo. Means nothing to you, right? I work with the paper industry. I grew up in the paper industry. I worked for my family's paper company since I was neonatal, and have progressed up into the industry on that side of the fence. About 12 years ago, I joined HP, which showed me the other side of the fence. And I got to tell you, it's kind of fun to see both sides. And to see women's participation in both sides of the industry, it's very interesting. My advice, to speak to Doris's comments, are, yes, select companies wisely, select your mate wisely, but don't be afraid to get a divorce. If you are unhappy, uncomfortable, it's up to you to move, to make a decision and find somebody else. Fortunately, I married a really good company. Okay, sorry.
No, not down like this. Yeah.
Singer.
Fortunately, you don't have to hear me sing. So with that, I'll pass it to Mel.
Oh, hi, I'm Melinda Monti. I work as a solutions architect for HP, which is basically a demo person in front of the machines, like the Vanna White, in front of the indigo presses on the commercial side. So I am uniquely positioned here to see both the technical side of the presses and also work with the customers to help them understand that technology and be able to put themselves in the future of how that technology is going to work for them. So I have a really great job, and I guess in my point of view, work yourself towards a stretch goal. Look at a career more not as this is something that fits in my wheelhouse, but this is something that is outside of my comfort zone, and try and go for that next position. I found that in my career, by stretching myself to the next position and the next, I've accomplished many, many more things than I've ever accomplished before. So thanks.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Echevarria, and I am the Customer Applications Manager for the page-wide web press industrial inkjet side of the house. So we've got a lot of same names. My role at the HP organization is to work with customers in both sample production for when they're looking to buy their inkjet presses, customer demos when they come to San Diego. I'm based in San Diego, a fabulous place to be. And I'm also involved in customer engagement such as trade shows, so I work hand in hand with my colleagues around that across all divisions, actually. And my word of advice would be to network. I know it was mentioned in the previous panel. I also subscribe to Doris's thought of keeping your resume as stellar as possible because it really opens doors.
Well, great, ladies. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Now, earlier I talked about what we would talk about today in our little panel, and there's a significant shift that's happening in the marketplace right now. In 2015, these of you might not know why the word millennial is being used so much, but in 2015, the demographics actually changed in the United States, and the millennials have now taken over the largest buying block of individuals in the market, and that's why brands are finding a hard way of rebranding themselves or recommunicating and finding their voices to this audience. This audience is so much different than the baby boomers that they marketed to in the past, and they have different values and different interests. They're not the narcissistic selfie takers that everybody thinks these are. This is the highest educated group of individuals that have come into the marketplace for many, many years. They're smart, they have high expectations, and there's some trends that I've been picking up and working with the brands that I'd like to share across with these ladies and see if they can offer some input. So the first one is, millennials believe that when they purchase a product, they want that product to reflect their brand values, the values that they have in the marketplace, the things they want to see, the things they stand for. This is something totally different because where in the past it was all about the name, it's no longer about the name, it's about what their actions are. According to the Boston Consulting Group, significant studies have been done on this, and millennials are actually willing to change their brand affinity to someone else if that company shows the values they have. You may hear terms like cause marketing or philanthropic marketing, and that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So Heidi, I know that you've worked with some brands, and what I've also done, and Deb had said she'd offer her services, we actually brought some real samples of this type of marketing going on in the marketplace and to talk about how HP is helping these brands bring these things to the market. So Heidi, answering that question, how do you see brands using their package decoration or even just their traditional marketing collateral materials and really touching individuals from a holistic perspective?
I want to point out a couple things.
She's going to point it out first. Yep.
I'll hand them to you after I talk about each one. Okay, that's okay. I'm going to stand up because I'm a little bit more used to doing this from a standing position. So the brands are really looking to engage with the consumer, and the consumer that they're going after is the millennials, and that's because there's a lot of them, right? It is the biggest subset of the population, and they have a lot of buying power because the oldest millennials are now 36 years old. So let's start with a product. This is Amarula. And a little bit about Amarula is there's some cause marketing that's going on here. So it's all about saving the elephants. Now, does anybody here remember Cecil the lion? Cecil the lion was the lion that was shot by the dentist, right? And there was this huge uproar on social media. And one of the reasons why we think that that occurred is because Cecil had a name. So people could engage. They could, understand his plight. So what Amarula has done with their Save the Elephants, and the campaign is called Name Them, Save Them, and using HP's technology of variable data print, when we pass this around, you're going to see that every single elephant is individually named in gold. The other thing that you have going on here is every single elephant is unique and should be saved. And therefore, again, using HP's proprietary technology called Mosaic, every single one of these elephants is unique. So every single label is unique unto itself. And it really looks dramatic when you line these up onto a store shelf. And essentially, you go in to buy this product and you can choose your elephant. Now, one more thing about this is this label happens to be an HP Inspiration Award winner for 2017. So yes, it is a very beautiful label. It is an award winner. But beyond that, talking about, well, what has that done for this brand, right? They've done this cause marketing. They've done variable data print. They've done Mosaic. They have a beautiful label. But what has it done for their brand? Well, they've been able to increase their sales in the United States alone by 139%. That's what it's done. That's dramatic. Then let's talk about Diageo with their Smirnoff brand. So this is a couple of times now that Smirnoff has done this campaign called Love Wins. And it's typically tied in with the gay pride parades that are going on, typically in London is where they're tying that in. So this is a very customized shrink sleeve. And what happened here is this is a collectible. It's a collector's item. There were only 500 that were manufactured. And using, again, variable data print on the back, you can see that they're individually numbered, so it is a collector's item. Now, what's happened here, too, is we've also used our Mosaic technology so that each of these background patterns is completely different. But what Smirnoff did is they hired an artist, and they came up with 50 different couples. And really the theme of this is all about, labels are for bottles, not for people. So here you have an example of variable data print, Mosaic, and a collector's item. And then we'll wrap this up with engaging with the consumer with Franchesa. So what we're seeing with millennials is it doesn't matter if they're drinking a craft beer or if they're buying their coffee. What they want to know is the story behind the product. They want that connection to their product. So what Franchesa Coffee has done is on the back panel, you'll notice that there is an individual photograph of the grower of this particular coffee. And then again, using variable data content, there's a map right here of where in the world this coffee was grown and harvested. So again, it tells a story. It connects the brand to the consumer, and a very beautiful piece of flexible packaging. So I showed you a label, I showed you a shrink sleeve, I showed you a stand-up pouch, and we're talking about brands wanting to make connections with the consumer, and they're doing that through variable data print, they're doing that through Mosaic, and they're doing that through cause marketing, and it's helping them increase their sales.
Heidi, thank you. You know, in the presentations that I give with the brands around the world and the audiences, in fact, I was recently at BBD&O, and they had their entire creative staff there, and I was showing some of these examples, and you can relate to this. What happens is when I showed the Cafe Francaise a bag, all the millennials in the audience started to nod their heads up and down, and all the baby boomers looked like puppy dogs, cocked heads. They didn't really get it. And once you really see that, you understand the real demographic difference between the two audiences. The millennials work hard, and the money that they make, they want to make sure that their money is being used by the companies for better things. So transparently showing your cause or your company's values on the decoration as packaging information is just another way of just reaching into the hearts of those individuals and pulling out. And those are 3 amazing samples. The other trend that we see that is very important, of course, is personalization. And personalization we initially saw with the Coca-Cola Share a Coke campaign, but it's not just names. And I asked Laura to talk a little bit about that because she works with some of the brands and has some examples here of how personalization goes beyond just names. It can also go into visualization.
Thank you, Doris. I'm sure everybody has seen by now, hopefully you have, the Share a Coke campaign where you have your different names. You can go get your name on the bottle of Coke at a supermarket. Everybody see that? Yeah, great. It was driven to help target a group of people that were under age 26 because the amount of Coke that they drink is minimal. So how to bring awareness to that age demographic was something that they were trying to focus on. And we started working with Coke in Australia on that campaign to build awareness, to target them in a very personal way. A personal way, obviously your name, you can't get more personal than that. From there, our work with Coke kept growing. And they brought it to a very different level with a beautiful campaign that involves Mosaic. Another show of hands. People aware of Mosaic and HP? Let me explain. So, actually, can we pass this around? Thank you. So what Mosaic does, HP invented this as a way of personalizing graphically every piece separately. So one-off images are unique and different, all based on algorithms and design. So you can run a full Coke campaign with bottles like that or cans and have every single one different. Okay, so what does that mean to the millennials? Apparently my voice is really fun with this microphone, so. So what does that mean? It means they have a unique product, something that is quite different and only theirs. What you can now do is connect that to more print. So they can go online and order more items that have that pattern, that unique pattern that is on their bottle. They can order phone cases and multiple other things, t-shirts. And printers obviously enjoy that quite a bit. It's a very unique campaign that Coke has partnered well with HP and our printers and done quite well with. Doris, any other comments?
I think one of the most interesting things I saw about the Coke campaign was when I worked with them, they had done a market research study and they identified that less than 13% of the tweeners, this is the age between 8 and 18, the kids had ever tried a Coke product. And this is not just the Coke story. Anybody with dark carbonated sodas are feeling the same thing. They've been suffering through years and years of decline because we've been brought up with a generation of people who say, don't drink that stuff, drink apple juice, drink this, drink that. Well, anyway, when Coke realized that, they wanted to figure out a way to get that bottle into that hand of that specific demographic very quickly, and that's when they realized the power of personalization. And when you went into New York City, the names that were on the bottles in New York represented the top 150 male and female names within that age demographic. When you went to Texas, you had different names. When you went to California, they were different names. So another important thing to tie this all into the Women's That Print Day is that this shows how when you work with the brands and you work with the industry people, you need to be able to talk left and right side of the brain. You need to be able to talk about the technology and the capabilities of the technology, but you also need to understand the strategy and the marketing strategies that are needed. So there's another tie in here to maybe education for the future. But personalization is here. It's not just, as you said, it's not just names, it's also the visuals. We're able to produce where every single bottle is totally different, and that's going to tie very nicely into what I'm going to ask Melinda to talk about. Is one of the other trends that we see is that the millennials want to be playful. You know, this audience of people have been brought up with cell phones in their hands, and they take their own videos, they take their own photographs, they're their own professional photographers, they're their own professional video editing people. So their creativity is coming out in many, many different ways. And when a brand allows that millennial to play with their brand in a package execution or in a product that that's going to get, that only doubles the situation. So Melinda's going to talk a little bit about how this thing called SmartStream Designer Mosaic is being used by the print service providers to really make some things interesting in the marketplace.
Thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this Oreo cookie package. So if you've noticed in the last 2 or 3 years, adult coloring books have become very, very popular. And so Oreo came out with the capabilities of going online and coloring your own Oreo package. So using the color switching, is that how they did it?
Yep.
Yep. You could go online and actually color your package, get your gift of Oreos, and be able to send it off to somebody else, like your grandparents, or send them to your uncle or aunt, and have it be something personalized directly to you. So one great use of that. Another element, and you'll have to remind me about the Moo campaign.
Right.
Origami.
Yeah, so Strauss is the Hershey's, the best way to say it, it's the Hershey's of Israel. It is a dark chocolate manufacturer that has bars like that Hershey's has, and they did a really interesting execution.
So with the packaging on the outside wrap of the candy bar, they use Mosaic, which allows you to take multiple different design seed files and apply those seed files with enlargement and rotation and color change. And so you can get a unique image on every single package. And with that, they gave you a little how-to follow-along guide for origami that created a little cow icon when you put it together. And the aspect of this that really attached to the millennials was the YouTube video that you would create afterwards when you put your little origami or mugami cow together, and was able to have them become part of the experience using YouTube with that campaign. It was actually very cool, and I don't know what the ultimate sales volume increase was.
The sales volume was doubled and tripled. We're under non-disclosure, we're not able to say.
Yes.
But they partnered with Google. So what happened was people were creating their origami farms across the world, and they were all meeting up as a big farm online. It was, and once again, to the millennial, that's a really fun thing to do. Yeah. And remember, this was a dark chocolate. I mean, dark chocolate is not something you go to the store and go, I'm going to go buy. It's that milk chocolate you typically buy, and it's a little bit more bitter. But this really got it into the hands of that audience where they started to buy it more frequently.
Yep. That's good.
It was excellent.
So, and the Bud Light campaign, I'm going to let you talk about that one.
So Bud Light. Bud Light had actually seen a campaign that was done, and they reached out to us. They host these series of events called Mad Descent, and they are a concert series around the United States, about 32 different countries. They have Diplo. It's run by Diplo. So these are kind of like high-end rap concerts and different types of musics. And thousands of kids go to these concerts, and they're millennials. Now, the Budweiser can has seen, it's kind of dated. It kind of looks a little bit older. As a woman, it probably wouldn't be a product that a typical millennial woman would pick up. They would kind of call it, the nickname they call it is the Duck Dynasty beer. They keep thinking about the guys with the big beards taking it up. So they wanted to refresh the cans and make them look a little bit more fun. So in each geography they went into, they chose a piece of artwork from a regional artist, and then through using a mosaic, every single can that was given out at the concert was totally different. They were collectible. And what happened was they actually had to stop people from going dumpster diving because people were grabbing the cans and trying to take them out of the concert empty because they realized the value of these being one-off pieces of art. So once again, just another creative way of being able to engage that millennial audience, but also in doing some interesting things. And on that campaign, they did over 200,000 pieces for the first concert series, and they went up on press. I think they're over millions now. So I'm very, very pleased. That's a very nice can. Yes, and it's full, so we want it back full. Sarah, we want it back full. So we've gone through in the trends for millennials and then the trends of what I think is really going to be formatting what's happening in the marketplace right now is number one, we talk about the fact of showing your causes, showing your values on your packaging and in your materials that you're producing. Be more personal, talk to the person directly, not only visually but also through words and context. Have a little bit of fun, engage them into putting some stuff onto packaging. In the case of the Mondelez campaign, their average hang time online was 14 minutes. 14 minutes of a person being on a website is huge today. And there are still people using the tool, even though the packaging is not available anymore because it was a holiday program, there are people still using the tool and having fun and playing with Oreo. But the last trend that's really interesting to me is that these millennials want to make sure that what they're spending their money on, their hard, fast money that they're working hard for, is going towards authentic products. They don't want knockoffs. They don't want products that are not current, maybe dated, maybe they might have a lifetime to them. So we've been doing a lot of work, and is a significant trend in using track and trace, but not through the standard visual codes of QR codes or something like that. There's a lot of technology out there, and HP was blessed to have some of the technology in our own midst, which uses augmented reality. So I've asked Chris to talk about the trend in track and trace and in experiential marketing, bringing the physical to digital together.
So one of the joys of my job is that I get to work with some really amazing people in this industry. And one of the people that I call our rock star, or my rock star, maybe I just dubbed them, that is Dr. Joe Webb. For those of you who may know him, he's the pundit, it's Dr. Doom, and a lot of other names. But he writes a lot of great material for and about our industry. And so you're not thinking, well, how does this tie to millennials? He's definitely not a millennial, and I get that part. But one of the things that we hear time and time again, and this is Dr. Doom, is like, well, print is dying, right? How do we keep print engaging and alive? So we brainstormed, and by tying it to something that is experiential for millennials, for designers, for our business customers, we have the opportunity to do exactly that. So we, for this show, were able to, through HP San Diego developed link reader technology, have incorporated this augmented reality. And what we've been able to do is make the book completely with payoffs. So we call them payoffs. So when you are able to scan with the link reader technology, it takes you to something. The cover, which looks very normal, I'm sure, to all of you out there, actually has a covert watermark. The covert, because you don't see it. But if I pull out my link reader app, which, by the way, our dear management is talking to Apple, so people are saying, oh, there are too many apps out there. Well, the reason that this is special is because we have engagement type applications, but we have business applications behind it as well. If I was to pull this out right now and you were to come up here, this is going to take you to an audio file. When was the last time that you had a book cover talk to you or sing to you? Probably not. It's been a while. And on the inside, all of the text, wherever there is, you have the opportunity. You see a blue line. If you were out on the internet and you were doing some research and you saw something that had a hyperlink, you'd click on it. We can do the same thing with this book. So we have the ability to engage people with videos, to blogs, any extra material that you'd like to augment your concept or thought in a book. To the business concept on the track and trace, which Doris mentioned, we do have a QR code, but this QR code is actually in a two-phase. So you're going to scan it not once, but you hold it there, and in a second reading, it'll tell you whether it's a valid book or not. So if you're a book publisher and you're selling books around the world, and then you do take returns in, which a lot of our customers do, how do you know it's your book? By doing a track and trace, you're able to know that this is a valid book, it's yours, or it's not. My developers in San Diego had some fun with me, and they sent me a number that had invalid codes, and I'm like, what? And it says false copy on it, and I'm like, but this is to show, in fact, that you have the ability to do it. We have actually a live customer that is doing exactly that. We have a 1-year exclusive with them, but they are using this technology for their track and trace in books.
See, I think this technology is absolutely amazing because think about it in our everyday lives. So recently, I love Bumblebee tuna. I have like 6 or 7 cans in my house. And let's say, for example, Bumblebee all of a sudden had a recall. Now, what I would typically have to do is go find out what those recall numbers are, get the old cheaters out, and search on the bottle for where the numbers are. And as I'm doing that, what's happening psychologically to me? I'm building up animosity towards the brand because they're putting me through an experience I shouldn't have to go through. If they're a quality manufacturing company, they shouldn't have any quality issues. Well, life happens, they do. But just think about in the future, if you had that in your shelf and you could walk into your cabinet and you could take your cell phone, because the Link Reader is a free app. You can download it right now through the App Store. And you walk up and you press the button, and all of a sudden you get a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you get a thumbs down, maybe the app then says to you, we are so sorry that you're experiencing this situation. Please take a photograph of your product, email it back to us, and we will send you a coupon redeemable for a free replacement, anywhere redeemable. Now, talk about customer satisfaction and talk about getting that back in. Now, those ideas are not coming from the design agencies out there. They're not even coming from the brands. They're coming from these people on this board right here who think differently. Believe it or not, we are wired differently as women, and we do think differently. And some of these ideas, as crazy as they are, really speak to what the brand value and issues are. And being able to come up with an idea like that and then be able to have a casual conversation to get them understand what is possible, and then let the technical people deal with it when they need to. That is a very valuable space to be filling in this marketplace right now, and each one of these ladies are doing it in their own way in different manners, dealing with the print service providers here that purchase our equipment and helping them position their capabilities into the marketplace, working with the media substrate manufacturers to make sure that the media and the materials out there are running properly on our equipment when they need to, and dealing with issues or technical issues as they arise. Supporting us with not only direct customer engagements, but also with print service engagements in our experience centers that are located in Barcelona, at Alpharetta, Atlanta, not as sexy as Barcelona, and also in Asia. And also working with the IT technologists and getting them to understand where they can link the variable information or the metadata that might be potential in this. So each one of these ladies have come into the organization and have developed a skill set and a competency that really has tremendous value to the brand. But the biggest value they have is just being authentic and talking to them directly and offering them ideas. So I want to thank you all for joining here. We have a few seconds, and I'm going to offer, is there any questions out there in the audience? Does anybody have any interest or any questions that you might want to have? It's okay, you can ask. Go ahead. I can repeat it. With the Mosaic technology, how fast can you implement that? So if you could talk a little bit about how the seed file is set up, and that'd be great.
So Mosaic is actually a part of our designer tool case, which goes into InDesign. And Mosaic, it's just part of a workflow. So it's a picture box with, you have your seed files sitting somewhere, you apply the seed files to the picture box, and you can preview that file in seconds. Yeah.
So,
and then from there you can create multiples of that. So, you have a database with a unique number for identifier, and that's how the Coca-Cola Diet Coke product was able to go back, and you could use that same image for a t-shirt or the same image for an iPhone case. So you have a unique database with that product.
From a designer's perspective, because I'm gonna even go one step lower. You don't need to purchase any new software. You don't need to learn any new technology. You're using your creative InDesign suite products. You're just adding that information on a layer, and then you offer the variable content in Excel spreadsheet or anything to your printer and your file, and it is automatically swapped on press. All of that magic happens in the print service provider's environment. The designers don't have to purchase or learn anything different, and that's what's so amazing. And it's what's amazing about HP, to be honest. Many of the other companies I've worked for, I used to be the VP of Pantone, and I've worked with Echevarria and others. Many of them want to build products that are proprietary. We work in partnership with existing partners such as Adobe to make sure that we're not disrupting who's using the products in the marketplace. And that's an important piece because there's only so much one person can actually know and learn as technology. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one back here from Ron, from
Sure.
Red Cool Ron from GPA.
Good so far?
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, ladies. So similar to the examples you showed with Coke and Bud Light, who will be the first, and how soon do you think it'll happen where they do that type of application with their carriers? So with the 12-pack, the case.
Already happening. Already happening.
Where? With whom?
Under non-disclosure. We are seeing this, I mean, if you really understand the value, and that would be another guidance I would give to anybody looking to come into this industry, is learn about databases and learn about the importance of being able to integrate variable data, because this not only affects primary packaging, but it also could affect secondary packaging. And if all of a sudden you're able to eliminate primary by secondary happening in a better way, on corrugated, and that's also another thing. All the things we're showing you here cut across all of our capabilities. So from postage stamps to printed books, we have a sample of a printed book there. Chris showed you a book there. To the large format graphics that go on in the walls, to shrink wraps, to boxes, to corrugated devices. We are working with many, many brands on those subject matters, and all I could say to you is, I could point to the Smirnoff. Look at the Smirnoff. All the point of purchase display items or corrugated are all being coordinated to the shrink wrap packaging right now. Probably the only one I can disclose at this time. Anybody else?
So Chris, you showed examples of the third wave book with link technology. If people wanted to see copies of the book or to get their own copy of the book, how can they do that? Or you also have the Tasty Junior book in front of you. What about that one?
So this one, I don't know how this came down my way, but somebody maybe can tell a little bit about this book?
I can talk about it, but why
Okay.
don't you answer?
So for anyone who's interested, we are giving these books away. Oh, sorry, thank you. At booth 613, in the HP booth, on the aisle where you'll see actually the ability there also to, if you don't have the link reader down, come over and download the app. It's free. And like I said, so we're giving them away, and we got a fresh. And then Dr. Joe is actually there signing with Richard Romano. I think today it's from 4 to 5. We have the happy hour today? Tomorrow. Okay, but they'll be there at happy hour tomorrow too, so anyone wants to come and get a copy. We've also got pre-signed copies too, because we know their time is limited.
So on the Tasty book, how many of you are on Facebook? Okay, so how many times have you been on Facebook and all of a sudden you see those little videos of how to prepare food and it's all by Tasty, okay? Tasty recognized that the appetite, using a cute word, the appetite for that kind of content was amazing. Cooking books have kind of gone away, and now all of a sudden there's a revived interest in them, not only in video format, but also in physical format. So you can go online to Tasty, you can choose the types of book that you would like to put together, snacks or dinners or appetizers or whatever, and you can tell them what type of specific type of food you like, and they will generate a book for you that you can then order and have sent. Now think about that for Christmas. I mean, that'd be great. I mean, so if you know one of your girlfriends likes to cook desserts, you could have an entire book of desserts. And in many cases, these stories are also working through augmented reality, where if you click on it, you'll see the video that ties into it. So that's why that book wound up here, because that's just another way of making something old, something new for the millennial audience.
Hi, with the packaging you showed for Coke and Budweiser, is that just something for those size companies, or can like micro brew companies, small batch sauce companies, something like that, use that technology? Small runs.
You have a grilling company. The answer is absolutely yes, and I use the big examples because everybody knows them, but that's where we're seeing the biggest adoption. And in the craft brewery market, I mean, clearly they understand the importance of being geographically specific in what they're offering. So there's some examples. What I would say to anybody who's interested is come to the HP booth and take a look. There is a product called La Katrina wine. And La Katrina is the Day of the Dead wine. Okay, I'm a La Katrina freak. I love that artwork. If I buy another piece, I think my husband's going to kick me out of the house. But we have samples of bottles there where they decorated the exterior of the bottles with La Katrina art from a very well-known Day of the Dead artist out of the Southwest. And they have committed now, the volume increased so significantly, they have now committed to every 2 years finding a new artist and generating new artwork. So for a small brand who's trying to push themselves into the marketplace, if they were just to be a little bit more strategic in how they decorated their exterior, their packaging, they could go from just another competitor to a collectible item in that space. And that ties directly into that millennial discussion we were having. So the answer is absolutely yes. In other words, hell yes. And come talk to us. We'd love to show you examples of that and maybe even work with those brands to help them understand how to do it. Any other questions? Very good. Well, once again, ladies, thank you so much. I appreciate this. Deb, thank you for allowing us to share the stage with you.
Check. Oh, sorry. No, it's my honor, and HP has been a supporter of the Printiverse and of Deborah Korn for quite some time now, and the fact that I get to offer them even an opportunity to stand in the same place I'm standing is amazing. But your partnership has been truly uplifting, and I'm only really standing here on the backs of HP. You guys plucked me out of obscurity, started taking me to events, and then what would happen is other companies would be like, well, who's she and why is she hanging out with HP and what's going on over there? And they started talking to me, but it was because you guys took a chance on this crazy, print long and prosper thing. So thank you so much. Doris Brown-McNally, one of my personal heroes. I've always told Sarah, I want Doris's job. I want Doris's job. And she always says, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. But the reason why people know that personalized print and variable data and a lot of that stuff is even possible these days is from the work that Doris is doing behind the scenes with the brands directly and educating them that print is a viable and valuable way to communicate. We're in the communications business, not the printing business. So with that being said, thank you so much, you guys. And we have another panel coming up, but please help yourself to snacks and coffee. HP brought them to share. And everybody, happy Girls Who Print Day. Don't forget to get a button on your way out.